Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I'm going to be talking about a controversial issue and subject. It's about gun control and ordinances connected with this. And really, people, we've seen such a proliferation of shootings, unnecessary shootings by people, and a lot of them are by people that don't even have a permit to carry a gun, and just random shootings. And it seems like the violence in the United States is starting to escalate almost out of control. And I was just thinking about this. Now, I don't know if ever revising the laws are going to make that much difference. I think if somebody wants to get access to a gun, I think they can more than readily do it. However, you may be able to diminish these unnecessary shootings and this violence to some degree. I was watching something on Dr. Drew's show one day, and what they were talking about is maybe why don't they do something to where they can put everyone's mental history into a database, and maybe I don't remember exactly, but I can surmise, or I figure probably what they're hitting at is that they would prohibit those people from purchasing a gun, even if they have some legal. The way the statutes are now, I don't know if they actually factor in any mental history. Maybe what was being said was that could be factored in at least more, or at least to some degree, in terms of whether a person can purchase this gun or not. A lot of these these shootings and these guns, a lot of times are being purchased by people that have permits to carry a firearm, and they're giving it and they're buying it and then giving it to someone, or maybe selling it to that person that doesn't have the legal right to possess a firearm for whatever reason. They don't have that permit. Now, the thing about this is maybe they can, as far as the database goes, maybe they can do something with this. What makes it controversial is the fact that some people feel that it's a violation of their privacy, and that kind of information shouldn't be divulged or disclosed. But if it can diminish maybe the unnecessary shootings, I would be in favor of it. I would condone it. I would have no problem with that. And maybe it's one of those things where it seems like a violation of privacy, but maybe it needs to be done if this would really help in terms of lowering these unnecessary shootings and this unnecessary violence that goes on. And really, another thing that can be done, I'm thinking, is that maybe they can increase the penalty or the repercussions one faces if a person does buy a firearm for somebody that does not have that license or that permit to carry it. I saw a sign one day on some billboard that stated it was like 10 years you can get in jail if you sell a firearm, if you purchase a firearm and say you have that permit, and then you give or sell it to somebody that doesn't have that permit. But the thing is, I don't know if that's statewide, or if that was just in one particular region or state. But whatever the penalty is in terms of jail time, maybe they can increase it and thus make people more apprehensive about doing this. I think maybe if they stiffen the penalty to some degree, that might really be beneficial as far as maybe diminishing the killings, as far in these unnecessary shootings. So a lot of times these people, they shoot because of some hate, or they got some vendetta against some race or something. And it's terrible that it's just escalated and ascended so far out of control that it's not even funny at this point. It's downright preposterous. People are now more reluctant to even go into movie theaters because of this. I mean, it just really, you hear about these shootings in movies. There was some shooting in not far from where I stay at a movie theater. I think it was like in the last month or two, and I was just like, thinking, well, is it getting to a point where you can't even go anywhere hardly anymore without this thing in the back of your mind? And the reality is that that may be very well veracious and true, and it becomes very difficult. I mean, you could be a person, you don't have, you're just minding your own business. You have no known major enemies or adversaries, and you run into some maniacal, psychotic person that has nothing better to do than to do random shootings. And you could be victimized by this just by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's what makes this it makes it very difficult. It's like, do you have to go out with a suit of armor or a bulletproof vest every time you have to leave your home? And I think if they could just, maybe they could do something with the statutes, with the guns, and maybe make the criteria maybe a little harder for people to maybe get these permits, and to also stiffen the penalty for people that are doing something in connection with firearms illegally. I think this would help the cause, but you'll never stop it completely, because there's always going to be people that will find some way, surreptitiously or what have you, to get access to these firearms and to these weapons, sadly. And you have a lot of corrupt people out there that are going to do whatever they can to get their hands on it. And the reality is, there's no way, I don't believe, to completely eradicate the problem, but you can diminish it to some degree. And I think it's really just about making the penalties a little bit harder on people that use firearms illegally, and also for people that do purchase these firearms illegally, that do have a permit. And I think, though, that can help go in some way, at least a little way, in maybe decreasing these shootings and these unnecessary, some often random murders against people that are just simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. And I think that's really, I mean, pretty much it. And to really, and to also be more active in the community, and having maybe some meetings in your neighborhood, maybe regarding these matters, especially if there's been a problem in your own community, and you feel that it's a little bit, your neighborhood might be a little bit on the dangerous side, and maybe banding the right people together, and have your watch and things like this, and like a neighborhood watch set up, and doing things in your community that might diminish these things, such as maybe putting signs up, and putting things up as far as the penalty for having illegal firearms, and so forth and so on. Well, anyway, people, this is Edwin Learnard talking about sharing my thoughts on gun control. And until next time, people, stay well.